And are you refreshed? Now what? We're having good conversations, have you noticed?
Hi. We're just giving some Tic Tacs. So we'll...
Or as the microphone likes to call them, click-clacks. It's all right. It's all right. Did you swallow it whole?
Mm-mm. So I had a question about something that I've been experiencing lately. I've been practicing at this for a while now. So I'd say that being on a high-flying disc is kind of my default mode.
Good.
Yeah, it's awesome. But, I still have these step one moments and contrasting experiences, and I will, experience negative emotion.
It's all right. How are you going to know what you do want unless you know what you don't want?
Right, I'm with you. We're there. About 6 months ago, what I started noticing was if I was experiencing a negative emotion, especially one that was more intense, like sorrow.
Can't be more intense unless you stay there long enough to get momentum going.
Okay, but more acute, if that makes more sense.
Acute meaning you have a strong desire that you are right now in opposition to.
Yes.
Or you have a very strong difference of perspective than your inner being who is looking at the same thing right now and feeling very differently.
Yes, yes. As opposed to like a minor annoyance. So something more like that. What I was noticing in myself as I'm experiencing this emotion.
Before you go further, we want to say also your opening remarks about how you're usually on your high-flying disc. So that's what you are accustomed to. So it doesn't take much dip in vibration in order to have a big warning bell for you.
Oh, well, good. Good.
We just want to throw that in there before you got too carried away.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's an important takeaway.
It is.
So what I noticed was while I'm having these negative emotion experiences, at the same time, I also am experiencing what feels like a core that is just rote joy and absolute well-being.
Well, then what that means is you are, speaking of acutely, you're not indifferent. You are acutely aware in that moment of your two competing perspectives. Your inner being thrilled with the new discovery at the same time that you are annoyed that it's not fully discovered right now, that it hasn't manifested fully right now.
Right.
Did you follow that?
Yeah. I'm not sure I did. When I first started...
Well, let's start at a place then that makes it really clear. So when you know what you don't want and you know what you do want, do you accept that your inner being is standing with all the I know what I do want?
Yes.
And is exhilarated about all of them. Most of all, exhilarated about you coming to understand your place with them and the absolute probability of them unfolding. Yes. And so what you were describing is a moment of really keen awareness where you are consciously and humanly focused in resistance at the same time that you have an awareness that your inner being is not focused in resistance. That's a pretty sensitive guidance system that you've got going on there. You can't focus on wanted and unwanted at the same time, but you can focus on what you want and what you don't want and what you want and what you don't want and what you want and what you don't want. And if you're really sensitive, you'd feel good and not so good and good and not so good and good and not so good. But when you have strong negative emotion, it always means that there's a strong desire that you are denying yourself access to right now. So when you say, at the same time that I'm feeling acutely disappointed, I'm also feeling my inner being reveling in the progress, that's a sort of quick flipping back and forth between perspectives, which means you must not be too far away from what your inner being is aware of. And that's really a credit to you, because that means you're not letting a lot of momentum go. Any of you could be flying really high, feeling really, really good, and walk into a room where there's something being projected on a screen that just would take you to your knees in horror immediately, because your attention to a subject, you're going to have a strong response to it. But what you began by talking about was your steady, high-flying disconnection to who you really are. And that's really the most important thing. And if that is true, and it is, if you are consistently there, then any dips in vibration that you're going to take are going to be brief and Well, that's the most important thing, brief, because you know how to get back into alignment relatively quickly. So what is it that you're getting at here?
Well, I was wondering, I guess, what exactly was happening, because the way that I described it at first is that I felt that I had two different points of attraction.
You do. That's the way we began today. Your inner being's point of attraction, which is standing in your vortex with all you've asked for, and your point of attraction. And the whole point is to blend those two. But your inner being's not going to blend with you. You've got to blend with your inner being. You do have 2 points of attraction. In fact, those 2 points of attraction are the reason that emotions exist.
Right. See, up until today, and I did notice it when you said it immediately, I had never heard it that way before. I had only understood it as my point of attraction is the one that I'm experiencing here. And I hadn't heard before today that my inner being has like its own point of attraction.
That's why when you ask and it is given, and your inner being's calling you all the way home into the full manifestation of it, and only when you allow yourself to receive the full manifestation of it, that's the whole point of all of this. Humans want to be so modest, and you want to be so spiritual and not material. And so you say, well, I don't need the manifestations. And we say you don't need them, but that's what you came for. You came as creator to see your thoughts all the way out.
Right. It's very exciting.
It is very exciting.
I'm very excited. I feel good.
That was a good conversation to have with everyone. You feel clear about something now?
I mean, I do.
Emotions are guidance, aren't they?
Right.
Every time. Yeah.
Thank
Enough?
you so much. Yes.